You're listening to Bad Girlfriend Radio. I'm your host, Bree Schmidt. I'm a relationship coach and educator offering advice and insight that is no shame, no sugarcoat, and no BS. Relationships are nothing without trust, but for some, trusting doesn't come easily. Especially if you've experienced a betrayal, it can be really hard to feel safe in a relationship. But surprisingly, just as trust is a major part of relationships, feeling disappointed or betrayed is also a pretty common part of relationships too. If you've struggled with trust and betrayal before, or if you are struggling now, you are not alone. Stick around for today's episode all about building trust, dealing with betrayal, and more. Do you enjoy listening to Bad Girlfriend Radio, but what you really want is a chance to talk one-on-one about dating and relationships? If you are ready to start thriving in dating and your love life, I am here to coach you in personalized coaching sessions that are all about you, and all you need is an internet connection. I offer coaching through private video calls as well as through email, and you can book your first consultation call with me for free if you just head over to breeschmidt.com and tap Work With Me, or you can find the link over in this episode's show description. We'll get deep into the thought patterns and limiting beliefs that are holding you back, and you'll learn how to shift your mindset to gain confidence and empower yourself to live as your highest, best bad girlfriend self in your love life. I'll give you action steps, worksheets, and resources to keep you engaged in growth throughout the whole process. And all of this is tailor-made for you and your needs and your goals. And hey, it doesn't matter if you're single or in a relationship or married. This is about you showing up the way that you want to, no matter your relationship status. Whether you are looking to start dating with confidence, heal through your breakup, or stop fighting with your partner, I am here to work with you. So go to breeschmidt.com and tap Work With Me, or go find the link in this episode's show description. Now, on to today's discussion. So you know that trust is important in relationships, and you probably also know what it feels like when you don't trust someone. But what is trust? There isn't just one definition, but I would say that trust is a basic belief that you will be safe. Trust is an assumption and an expectation that the other person will benefit, not damage you and your well-being. And what is required to meet those expectations, what is required to trust someone, will be different for a committed relationship or a hookup or a friendship. It can be very role and context dependent. But regardless of the type of relationship, when there's trust, you can feel safe and secure. And when you feel safe and secure, then you can be more relaxed and confident and authentic without fear. When there's a lack of trust, your mind is constantly scanning for danger. You may be in constant fight or flight mode, constantly feeling anxious and overthinking. Because in the gaps where there isn't trust, in those empty gaps, you are overcompensating, trying to fill those gaps of insecurity. So you might be hyper vigilant, trying to keep yourself secure and safe and out of danger. And of course, danger isn't only physical, but emotional too. You don't want to feel painful emotions, right? So without trust, you may be extra tense and alert, always looking out for danger, whether or not the danger actually exists. So, as you can tell, being in a relationship that lacks trust is very stressful, very tiring, very exhausting. And trust isn't just about avoiding betrayal. Trust isn't even really just about honesty, as in telling the truth and not lying. Trust is really about authenticity. It's not just about avoiding blatantly lying. It's also about omitting certain information that could make the other person uncomfortable. So what do I mean? So trust is built on honesty, yes, but more than that, trust is built on being able to say the uncomfortable things in a relationship. Trust is built on being able to face disagreement together. Someone can choose to avoid difficult conversations, just try to keep the peace, avoid saying things that might upset the other person. Or someone can show up as they authentically are. They can say to you like, no, I can't do that. I can't offer you the commitment that you want, or I might not be who you want me to be, or I can't really agree with you on this or that. And then out of those two options, who do you think is more trustworthy? The person who avoids the tough conversations, or the person who is more direct and open and honest and authentic? Politeness doesn't create trust. Keeping the peace, staying neutral, avoiding disagreement or confrontation doesn't create trust. Authenticity creates trust. And here's some good news. Trust isn't really that elusive after all. It's not that hard to build trust. Because aside from just, showing up honestly and authentically, trust is also built all the time in small everyday moments. Daily actions and daily connection create trust. Trust isn't only built in the absence of dishonesty or negative interactions, it really is in the smallest of positive interactions. John Gottman calls these interactions sliding door moments. And you can have these kind of moments when you make an effort to communicate and really listen to each other every day. Or you make time for quality time and you make time to experience something new or like a shared hobby together. Or when you're compassionate, when your partner had a bad day or they're complaining about work or whatever it may be. Treat the relationship as a priority every day, every single day. Find ways to help and support the other person, like by offering to cook dinner for each other or, offering your partner a massage after a long day. It's really in these small moments that trust is actually built. These small moments are actually really powerful. But likewise, when these small moments and daily actions are negative or filled with criticism or ignoring each other or, conflict, that can be very powerful in eroding trust too. Often even more than one big betrayal. These small little daily negative interactions hurt the relationship and the trust, typically more than one big event. Which brings me to the question, what is betrayal? You may immediately think of a betrayal in a relationship as being one person cheating on the other. I mean, that is betrayal, absolutely. But really, turning your back on the relationship for the benefit of yourself or someone else is also a betrayal in whatever form that may come in. Now, when I say things like this, I always worry that someone listening will take it literally and they will think that what I'm saying is that you can't put your needs first or you can't make time for other people, that your relationship always has to be number one. And that is not true. But putting yourself or someone else first in a way that directly goes against the agreement and the commitment of the relationship is a betrayal. So yes, cheating is an obvious betrayal. Emotional cheating is a betrayal. Lying is a betrayal, even if the lie seems like it might be small and insignificant. Or hiding information is a betrayal. Breaking a promise, excluding a partner or hiding them away in some kind of way, keeping them away from family or friends, that's a betrayal. Putting your job over your relationship time and time again, that's betrayal. Talking about your partner or sharing private information about them to others is definitely a betrayal. Not including your partner in decision making. Acting selfishly on a regular basis is absolutely a betrayal. This is what I was saying. The small everyday moments can actually be more powerful than one big betrayal. If you have a partner who never cheated or told a huge lie, but on a regular basis, they're not making any effort to connect with you or they're avoiding having honest conversations with you regularly, they exclude you from their life regularly, all those little betrayals add up to be very, very heavy. And even if there is a big betrayal in a relationship, in many cases, that isn't even the trigger that leads to the couple breaking up. It's all the daily actions or inactions that continuously break down trust. Those daily actions that build or break down trust make all the difference. So as you might be able to guess from these examples, both big and small, betrayal is actually kind of common. If you've experienced betrayal in your relationship, it doesn't mean that you are doomed to fail as a couple. People won't always be who you want them to be. People do make mistakes. People are human. But still, that betrayal can really hurt. It can feel shocking, especially when you expected something else. It can be a huge shock. So what do you do in the aftermath of being betrayed? What happens when that trust has been broken? So first things first, if you have been betrayed in your relationship, you have a decision to make. Do you want to continue the relationship or do you want to end it? Do you want to trust them again or not? This is not the same question as can you trust them or not? Can you trust them again or not? It's okay if you're not sure yet if you actually can restore that trust. That's okay. Healing and trust are not black and white. It's not one or the other. It's not I'm healed and I trust them again fully, or I'm not healed and I have zero trust in them, right? It's okay to have mixed feelings. It's okay to feel suspicious or unsure while you are healing and trying to rebuild trust. Trust isn't a light switch, either on or off. It's not like that. So it's okay if you're unsure how to trust again. But do you want to trust again? Do you want to try to keep the relationship going? That's key. Trusting is hard sometimes, but not trusting is harder. Carrying on a relationship where there isn't any trust and you cannot get over that hurdle of being open to trusting again is really hard. And it can make for a very unhealthy relationship if you keep that going long term. So get really clear about if you want to be with them or not, or if you want to try again or not. And that's up to you to decide. Don't get swayed by how much they apologize or if they guilt trip you into taking them back. Listen to yourself. What do you really want? Only you can answer that question. I would say, though, to watch out for patterns versus a single event. Like, do they have a pattern of lying? Do they have a pattern of cheating or breaking promises or ignoring you? Have you made it clear that this hurts you? Have you communicated what needs to change and yet they continued on with their old patterns anyway? Patterns are harder to change and the other person has to really want to change. So keep this in mind. If you decide that you really don't want to continue the relationship, that is okay. That's your decision. But maybe the rest of this episode won't be of much use to you then. So if you do want to continue the relationship and you're wanting some help on what to do next, don't turn me off just yet. And actually, this is where it gets interesting because I might not say what you're expecting me to say. Are you ready? If you've been betrayed and you are willing to try to rebuild trust, the thing is, it isn't your job to force yourself to trust again. It is the other person's job to prove that they can be trusted again. It isn't your job to force trust. It is the other person's job to prove that they can be trusted again. Often people say that you just have to try to trust again. Even therapists will try to push people to just, take a chance and trust again. Even if you're not ready to, just try, give them another chance. And as a relationship coach, you may have expected me to say the same thing, that it is your responsibility to trust again. Like it's the right thing to do to trust again. Just have faith one more time. And if they mess up again, all right, then you can leave, But if you decide to stay with them, if you decide that you want to trust again, then you just have to do it. You just have to trust. But listen, betrayal can be traumatic. And like any trauma, it takes time to heal. And when that trauma is in your relationship, it is not up to just one person to heal that. It is up to both. which means that, yes, you do need to make a choice if you want to trust again or not, but that's actually not the same as trying to force trust overnight and then feeling bad about yourself when you're still feeling kind of suspicious or having mixed feelings. Trust isn't forced. I'll get into this a little more in a minute about your role in trusting again, but I want to make it clear that the betrayer has to prove their trustworthiness. And if you're listening to this and you have been the betrayer, you are the betrayer in the situation, which many of us have been at one point or another, then listen up. For the betrayer in a relationship has two options, just two, and it's very simple. Option one is you work on repairing and rebuilding trust, or option two, you break up. It's that simple. There is no in between. The thing is, many people say, yes, of course, option one, I will work on rebuilding trust, of course. But then they think that there is an expiration date. So the betrayer tries to rebuild trust and they avoid betraying their partner in the same way again. But then 1 month later, 3 months later, 6 months later, their partner is still healing and still suspicious. And, then they get annoyed. The betrayer gets annoyed or angry that they haven't been trusted again yet. So they become upset with the person who was originally betrayed. They may say, why don't you trust me yet? Why are you still suspicious? Why are you still grilling me with all these questions? Get over it. That was in the past. Why don't you want me to go to that weekend trip to Vegas? I don't deserve this. It's been 3 months already. It's been 6 months. It's been 1 year. But listen, if you are the betrayer, you don't get to decide when the other person trusts you again. And in fact, there may be certain triggers or certain situations that remind them of the betrayal all over again for a very long time. So you have two options. You work on rebuilding that trust, and this is essentially a lifelong process. Or you give up and you break up. There isn't a third option where you rebuild trust until a certain date. That doesn't exist. So when your partner, the person who was betrayed, feels hurt thinking back to what happened, accept it. When they get suspicious, accept it. If you can't accept it as being a part of rebuilding trust and repairing the relationship, then just give up, leave, break up. There isn't another option. And when it comes to making repairs in general in relationships, the quicker the repair is made, typically the smaller the negative impact will be on the trust. So by making a quick repair quickly after some conflict or betrayal, then it will be easier to keep trust high. So if you tend to be conflict avoidant, what you're doing is possibly leaving your partner alone to deal with that conflict by themselves. It's okay to take a break during a conflict to cool down, but be clear about when you're able to return to the issue and resolve it and repair as quickly as possible. Don't just turn away and flee. So I want to focus back on the person who was betrayed again. As I was just saying, the betrayer does need to stick around in rebuilding trust in the long term. It is up to them to prove that they can be trusted again, and it is not the job of the person who was betrayed to force themselves to trust again. So if you're in this position where you have been betrayed, it's okay to feel angry sometimes. It's okay if you feel hurt. It's okay if you feel suspicious or if you need reassurance for a while. Your feelings matter after being betrayed. And after being betrayed, it may feel like it's you versus them. But actually, to build trust, like I was saying before, you have to at least want to continue the relationship and be open to trusting again. This isn't the same as forcing it, but you have to decide that you want a future where you can trust them again. Disconnecting from your partner won't create this trust or a better future, right? or bottling up your feelings will not allow you to heal. So talk to your partner. Be honest if you're feeling uncomfortable with them going out drinking or, whatever it may be, because you fear that they will betray you again. Or be honest when you're feeling angry because of the betrayal. But don't cling to this anger. Anger can be used as punishment, but that will not allow you to move forward as a couple. After a betrayal, I know it can be so tempting to try to punish the other person and bring them down, especially if you're already really hurt. You might want to, seek revenge and make them feel the kind of hurt that you're feeling. But this is not going to heal you. Revenge will not heal you. Punishing them will not heal you. It will not make you feel better. And the truth is, even after you've been betrayed and they need to rebuild trust, you can't control them. You can't actually make them do anything, right? And there's a difference between setting boundaries and controlling someone. Because setting boundaries are about protecting and honoring yourself, but controlling or punishing the other person is not about helping your well-being. It's about trying to damage theirs. Boundaries help you to keep yourself in control. But trying to control the other person is just about, controlling and manipulating them. It doesn't actually serve you at all. So, of course, after a betrayal, it's okay to set boundaries. It is actually very necessary to set boundaries. So if someone cheated, for example, it is okay to say, okay, I don't want you to go out one-on-one with your female coworkers anymore. I know if you do, I'll be anxious and I'll be stressed the whole time, and I don't want my life and our relationship to become like that, where I'm always in this, high stress anxiety mode. So if you can't respect this boundary, I would have to end our relationship. Or if someone is repeatedly late, you can set a boundary to be very clear about exactly what time you want them to meet you or, come home or whatever it may be. And so let's say they don't meet you for your date that you had scheduled at the scheduled time, then you can say, okay, this is the boundary. I need you to meet me at this time. But if you don't, I'm going to go home. I'm not going to wait for you. So it's not about controlling them. It's actually more about being in control over yourself and your own well-being. So setting boundaries are not about controlling or punishing the other person. That will not help you in rebuilding trust. But setting healthy boundaries will. And when it comes to rebuilding trust and setting boundaries, always follow the other person's actions and not their words. So if they say one thing but they do another, it would make perfect sense if you can't trust them. So really look to their actions, and if they're respecting your boundaries and they're making promises that they actually stick to. And on that note, recognize the other person's attempts to rebuild trust. Recognize when they do try to make repairs. I was saying before that feeling suspicious or unsure is okay, but sometimes we may have a negative mental filter where we can only see the bad and never the good. So don't just look for signs that they can't be trusted again. If you're constantly on alert, just waiting for them to mess up again, one, it doesn't really seem like you are actually open to trusting again. And you might be just clinging to negativity and anger about the relationship. But also, two, you're never going to see the positive actions. So recognize when your partner actually does try to rebuild trust and appreciate those actions. Let them know that you appreciate it and that you can see that they're trying to do better. Finally, I want to say that just because you were betrayed before doesn't mean that you'll always be betrayed. Just because you were hurt before doesn't mean that you'll always be hurt. One person may have not been right for you. Maybe they betrayed you and you had to let them go. But don't assume that no one can ever be trusted again. Avoiding trusting and opening up doesn't keep you safe and protected from being hurt. It actually holds you back and keeps you from experiencing the thriving, healthy life and relationships that you deserve. Just because you were hurt before doesn't mean that you deserve a lifetime of pain and suffering. So don't restrict yourself. Give yourself time to heal, but realize that building trust can happen in this process too, as long as you're ready for it. All right, that's all I've got for today. But if you want to connect with me, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm at Bree_Schmidt. And for more on coaching, as well as free resources, blog posts, and more, go to BreeSchmidt.com. Thanks for listening, as always. Until next time.